Ole Damion Hall. Ole Damion Hall. Come on in here, you. Come on in here. Oh, you talk about comedy. I done had so much time laughing at some of these other turkeys saying stuff that I had to get you back in here. Because, with Gilbert Arenas always with his clowning and Kanye West with his clowning. And there's some other clowns. And, of course, I had to dress Evander Holyfield with that whole Ali. But Damian Hall done really lost his natural. I mean, it's the music version. Because, turkeys don't want to be left out. They got to get their gobbles in. This turkey came out here and said that Bobby Brown was closest to Michael Jackson, and then he said that Guy was the baddest R&B group ever. Why is it always the least talented people in there with the loudest voices? Or remember when you had to deal with them gangs, and there was like three of them, and there's always that one runt that was in there, and they was running their mouth, and they're like, yeah, yeah. And they talk trash. They couldn't lift their fingers past their nose, but they were acting like they were gonna be about that life. Always the least talented ones talking the most noise and trash. This turkey was on a Brian Lorenz song to satisfy you on background vocals of Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson originally outtake for Dangerous. He didn't. He nickname was Crazy Legs. We never saw what he did. We know about Teddy Riley, great producer, New Jack Swing, the founder of that. One of the most important musical sounds of the late '80s. Which, when you talk about R&B, hip hop, pop, and gospel, Teddy covered all that as a producer. We know that. And Aaron Hall, precursor to R. Kelly and influenced by Charlie Wilson, the Gap Band, and Steve Wonder, etc., Donny Hathaway, etc. And underappreciated as a songwriter, but his solo career wasn't that memorable. He did most of his best stuff when he worked with Guy and then when he co-wrote things for other artists, including co-writing Prerogative with Bobby and Teddy and a couple other things. But not even the half of a Keith Sweat career. Aaron Hall is one of those cautionary tales that if you don't really do anything with it, we ain't gonna never know that you had it to begin with. So, you know. But anyway, let me knock off these two jive remarks. Guy was bad for their time. We in '88 we played that tape. We don't even know who all did what though, because Timothy Gatlin was on the cover. And when they got rid of Timothy Gatlin, they put you on. But we know You Can Call Me Crazy with Al B. Sure on the hook, and Timothy Gatlin had something to do with that. So we don't even know all the credits with that. But we know you ain't write nothing. We know you ain't produced nothing. It was all about Teddy or Timothy and Aaron. You weren't that in that discussion. As for Guy, what? Yes, they sold a lot of records, and but Teddy's production was seen bigger with Aaron Hall singing, but they really weren't seen as a group. And how dare you disrespect like the Jackson 5, OJ's, Temptations, Four Tops, Stylistics, Delphonics, Bloodstone, Shy Lights, the Dales. That's just off the top of my head, the Spinners. I ain't even talking about New Edition. You were not in that stratosphere. You had your moment. But when your second record came out, I mean, it never was quite like that. The sad part for you, too, is that Blackstreet was bigger than you, even though I like Guy better, but Dave Hollister sings circles around you. But Teddy messed that up too. It's typical Teddy did. That's a whole nother story, another video. Y'all were probably one of the most self-destructive groups. Had hits and had impact, but then it came and it went. As for this thing with Bobby Brown and Michael Jackson, look, Bobby Brown comparable to Chris Brown and Usher, I'd say that more than I would say Michael Jackson. Because I will say Bobby Brown's window when it was open, I liked it better than I liked anything that Usher and Chris Brown have done. I will say that. But don't you dare put yourself in the same sentence with no Michael Jackson. Yes, Michael was inspired to do the Dangerous record, but the cat had already had 20 years of a career. It wasn't like he was in his fifth year. It was just 20 years in his career. So whatever that was came along and went. But Michael Jackson had already done the whole thing. Bobby was just getting started to the thing. And he had a window which was something else. But he was never, and no one is to be compared to the Michael Jackson. You can't compare someone that dominated and all of a sudden you gonna act like you in there, like you belong, like because you had a moment. It's not the same. It is not the same. I think a lot of turkeys get this misconstrued because they think it's fashionable to say that. Bobby didn't keep it going. Oh yeah, 88 to 91, he was a bad boy. And then he came with the Bobby album. But he ain't had no hit like no Michael Jackson. He ain't had no hit like that. You can't even put that into that's a Michael's a one of a one. Bobby had an influence and he had a perspective. He was not in Michael Jackson's territory. None of it. None of it. Not a better singer, not a better songwriter, not a better producer, not a better entertainer, not someone that had the versatility to do what Michael Jackson did. He was bad for his moment. He was not that dude. So stop with that. Keep him with Chris Brown and Usher, cause that's more on lines. And all them turkeys are still triple junior whopper versions of Michael Jackson and Bruno Mars as well, and others. So stop. Beyonce too, whether y'all like to hear it or not. Ain't nobody surpassed no Michael Jackson now from that list of people. No. But there's a people who like to sell this narrative because I guess it helps them sleep at night to tell this lie. Believe me, uh, there ain't been another one like Michael. And then it didn't stop. And as far as Guy goes, I like Guy. Like I said, the first record was a classic. Second record, we bopped to it. It had a couple of joints. Of course, when they brought Heavy D on, that was cool. But it was not like people were like clinging on to like, oh, Guy's gonna be like, no, it wasn't like that. Because the time they second record came and went, then you had Boys to Men, Jodeci, and all that came on. Nobody was talking. Then he got to Blackstreet. But again, it wasn't like he had this momentum of songs that people were like, oh, like that. His Teddy Riley's biggest stuff was with others. It wasn't even with Guy. And Aaron Hall never got a chance. Brother R. Kelly basically came around, said, I can do what y'all do, and ran with it. And that is the truth about with that, if you must know. He took it and ran with it. And that's kind of the facts. So, when you say all this nonsense, I mean, yes, you have some connection, but stop the cap, Dame. Your cap's on too big and too tight, and it's blinding you to reality. But some turkeys are going to believe this jive turkey got so much to say. Like I said, there's always that one member in the group or the band, you wonder, what do they do? Oh, I forgot it. They got the hype. They talk more yang than anything, but they ain't got nothing to back it up with. They ain't got the receipts. Guy was big, but they weren't that kind of group. They weren't that kind of group. And Teddy was bigger than the group. Aaron had a voice, but it was about Teddy pushing the machine. Keep it 100. And Bobby Brown was not in Michael Jackson's territory league. He had a moment where it was acknowledged, but when you talking careers and paths and so on, etc., that moment is like the Grand Canyon, and you got your feet apart on it, and you know that you fall, you're gonna land very far down. It's not close. Please hit like, subscribe, welcome thoughts, comments, and I do respond. Thank you. Wash your hands, keep your mind clear, watch out for another. Share it if you like. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free. I'm out one time. Peace.